In today's video, I'll talk about the Aroma 8-cup digital rice cooker. We're not just going to push a button and cross our fingers here. No, we are completely demystifying this little countertop powerhouse. Whether you literally just unboxed yours today or you've been using it for years and keep wondering why your rice sometimes comes out a little too crunchy, this explainer is your absolute ultimate guide.
So here's our roadmap. We'll start by getting to know the anatomy of your multicooker. Then we'll master perfect rice and grains. After that, we'll unlock its steaming and advanced features, go over a pro-level deep cleaning routine to keep it running for years, and finally, we'll tackle real-world troubleshooting and repair.
All right, part 1. Meet your Aroma multicooker. Let's get familiar with the actual hardware.
So this is the Aroma ARC-914SBD. It's a 350-watt stainless steel beauty that honestly really earns its keep on your counter. I mean, it doesn't just cook up to 8 cups of restaurant-quality rice, it handles soups, steamed veggies, and even whole one-pot meals. Plus, that compact footprint makes it super efficient, and the stainless steel gives it this premium modern vibe that just fits right seamlessly into almost any kitchen. Now, take a look at how this thing is laid out. It's designed for absolute clarity. You've got this condensation catcher mounted right on the side to grab any excess moisture. Up front, there's a highly legible digital display flanked by these really easy-to-use buttons. White rice, brown rice, flash rice, steam, it's all right there. Everything is exactly where it needs to be, so you aren't guessing.
Moving on to part 2, perfect rice and grains. Because, believe it or not, getting that flawlessly fluffy batch of rice every single time actually takes a tiny bit of precision.
Okay, stop right here. Before we add even a single drop of water, we need to talk about this fraction, 3/4. The measuring cup that Aroma gives you in the box, it is actually equivalent to 3/4 of a standard US cup. I literally cannot emphasize this enough. Do not lose that little plastic cup. If you try using a regular baking measuring cup to portion your rice and water based on the manual's instructions, your ratios will be totally out of whack. You'll end up with a mushy, or worse, burnt disaster. Let's break down the timing and ratios. Notice that cooking time column? While your standard white rice takes roughly 30 to 40 minutes depending on how much you're making, brown rice is a whole different ballgame. It needs closer to an hour, sometimes up to 71 minutes for a full pot. Why? Well, the machine actually intelligently soaks the brown rice before it even brings it to a boil. That extra soaking time is absolutely vital for breaking down that tough outer bran layer so you get the perfect texture.
But hey, what if you're starving and completely out of time? That is exactly where the flash rice function comes in to save the day. By cooking at a significantly higher heat, it can actually shave up to 11 minutes off your standard cycle. It's a total game changer. But, and this is a big but, you have to remember this is strictly designed for white rice. Seriously, don't try this with brown rice or thicker grains, or you're going to end up with a very crunchy, very undercooked mess.
All right, Section 3, Steaming and Advanced Features. Because remember, this device is way more than just a rice maker. Let's unlock its full multi-cooker potential. Standard cooking is great when you're just hanging out in the kitchen, but the 15-hour delay timer, it's honestly like having a personal chef. You can schedule meals way in advance. But here is the trick, and a lot of people get this wrong. You set the timer for when you want the food to be finished, not when you want it to start. So, say it's 3 p.m. and you set a 2-hour delay. Your food is piping hot and ready at exactly 5 p.m. Just a quick safety warning though, never use this delay for highly perishable stuff like meat or dairy. Speaking of meat, check this out. Using the included steam tray lets you perfectly cook proteins right on top while your grains are boiling away underneath. You can see the recommended steaming times here, but remember, time is really just a guideline. Always use a meat thermometer. You want to make absolutely sure your chicken hits 165 degrees Fahrenheit and pork gets to 160. It is such an incredibly efficient way to make a healthy, complete dinner. And the best part? 0 extra pots and pans to clean.
Which brings us to Section 4, Deep Cleaning and Maintenance. To keep this appliance churning out top-tier meals, we've got to talk about upkeep and a simple 5-minute daily cleaning routine.
Before you even think about turning on the sink, remember this golden rule. Never rush the cool-down phase. Always unplug the cooker and give it a good 45 to 60 minutes before washing it. If you plunge a hot ceramic-coated pot straight into cold dishwater, it causes rapid contraction. That creates these invisible microcracks. And over time, that completely ruins the nonstick surface and can actually void your warranty. So patience really is your first line of defense here.
Okay, let's look at the lid.
A clogged steam vent is literally the #1 cause of those awful, messy, starchy boilovers. When the steam can't escape, the pressure just forces this sticky slurry right out the sides of the cooker. It's the worst. So follow these exact steps weekly, especially if you cook high-starch grains. Gently pop the cap off, grab a soapy cotton swab, and carefully clear the pathway with a bamboo skewer. Never ever use metal for this because it'll scratch the delicate silicone seals and completely wreck the pressure dynamics.
Now, even if you wash it perfectly every time, you might start noticing chalky white mineral deposits or stubborn hard water spots inside the pot. Whatever you do, skip those harsh commercial descalers. They will eat right through the appliance's seals. Instead, try this natural vinegar boil method. It chemically dissolves all that buildup completely safely. Just a heads up, definitely open a window because boiling vinegar is really potent. And always let it cool down before opening the lid to rinse.
Moving on to the most sensitive part of the device, the heating plate. This is the electrical heart of your cooker. If you oversaturate it with water, or even worse, spray cleaners directly inside the base, that liquid is going to seep straight down and fry the internal control board. What should have been a super simple wipe down suddenly becomes a $50 repair, or just a completely ruined appliance. Just use a barely damp microfiber cloth and wipe it out gently. That's all it takes.
And that leads perfectly into our final section, troubleshooting and repair. Look, even with flawless care, things happen in the kitchen. So let's diagnose some common errors so you're never stuck wondering what went wrong.
Your Aroma cooker basically talks to you through that digital display. If you ever see an E1 or E2 code pop up, that points to a hardware sensor issue, either an open or a short circuit. For those, unfortunately, you're going to have to hit up customer service for repair. But if you see an E3 code, do not panic. It literally just means the heating element got a little too hot. Unplug it, give it a 5 to 10 minute cool down, and you'll be right back in business.
So, what if you're constantly asking yourself, why does my rice always burn, or why is it so dry? Well, here's the fix. If it's crunchy when the cycle finishes, just add half a cup of water, give it a really good stir, close the lid, and run a quick cycle again. Simple as that. And if your brown rice is constantly burning, remember, it needs a totally different ratio. Usually you want about 2.5 parts water to 1 part rice, just because that tough outer bran absorbs so much moisture during that longer cook time.
How about this one? Why is my condensation catcher always overflowing? If you're constantly wiping puddles off your counter, the culprit is almost always that clogged steam vent we talked about earlier. Think about it. When the top vent is blocked, the cooker has absolutely no choice but to force all that expanding, starchy steam down into the little side catcher at a rate it just wasn't designed to handle. Keep that top vent clean and your side catcher will work flawlessly.
To really maximize the lifespan of your Aroma cooker and get years of daily use, you'll want to bake these pro hacks into your routine. First, always rinse your rice 3 times. This washes away the surface starch that causes burning and boilovers. Second, absolutely no metal spoons, ever. Use the plastic spatula it came with so you don't scratch and ruin that ceramic coating. And finally, the absolute most important rule for the life of this machine: proper drying. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. Storing the cooker with a damp heating plate or closing the lid while the rubber seals are still wet is a massive recipe for disaster. It can cause an electrical short the very next time you plug it in, or worse, breed mold in the dark, humid environment of your kitchen cabinet. Air dry every single component 100% thoroughly before you reassemble and put the appliance away. By understanding the precise engineering, locking in those proper ratios, and keeping up with the essential maintenance, you are completely in control. You're not just at the mercy of some microchip anymore. So the next time you scoop out a steaming, perfect bowl of rice, you might find yourself wondering, what other appliances in your kitchen are you just pushing buttons on without actually understanding how they work? Thanks for checking out this explainer, and enjoy your perfectly cooked grains.